Now, between diagnosis and treatment, going through cancer is very difficult on sufferers and their families. But for many survivors, adjusting back into normal life can be equally hard.
As we continue our AM Fights Cancer Week, we're joined by Deirdre Morrissey, who overcame breast cancer and was supported by the Marie Keating Foundation. We're also joined by Helen Forristal, Director of Nursing. You're both very welcome to the programme. And Deirdre, great to see you doing so well.
Thank you.
How long have you been clear now?
I've been clear just coming up 6 years now.
6 years, so you've got over the 5-year mark.
I've got over the 5 years.
Which feels great, I would imagine.
It feels great. Yeah, I have to say, yeah, it's a great milestone to get to. They don't make a big fanfare of it for you. I have to say, in my case, it's just, I'm happy to be 6 years out, yes.
I mean, we use the word journey, we overuse the word journey a lot these days, but for you, I suppose, dealing with cancer has been a real journey of sorts, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been a roller coaster from the day of the diagnosis until now. It was December 2011 when I was diagnosed. My kids were only 5 and 2 at the time. And ended up coming home after surgery on Christmas Eve, and then straight into 6 months of chemo and 6 weeks of radiotherapy, and then I took another few months off before I went back to work after that.
And apart from probably not feeling physically very well, I'd imagine, when you're going through chemo and radiotherapy, mentally and emotionally you found it incredibly difficult.
I found it very difficult. I couldn't get my head around the fact that this had happened to me. Like, I just cancer was never a thing that I had seen in coming, and when it came, it hit like a truck, to be honest. And I completely withdrew from everything, apart from the 2 kids and my husband. And I couldn't deal with other people asking me how I was and how are you feeling today, and to be honest, there was a certain kind of like, oh, you have cancer, and you kind of hide away. Well, I did anyway, and I got very depressed, and it wasn't until towards the end of my radiotherapy that I started to come back to life, and I could see that maybe there was an end to this.
And if you're cutting yourself off from everybody, you're isolating yourself. And if you're not feeling good about yourself, and then you're further isolating yourself, then
It was the worst time ever. I think that's what added to the trauma for me. At the beginning, when I was first diagnosed, I had to talk to people who had been through it. I had to seek out people who I could talk to. And then once I got into the treatment, I just had to put my head down, and I said I could not deal with other people. So it was completely, there was 4 of us in it, and that was the path I took.
And yet, I presume it was compounded by the fact that you had 2 very, very young children, and so you would have needed help and needed support.
Well, I did. I have my own immediate. My parents and my husband's family were there for the kids, and my sisters and all that. Everybody took the kids when they needed to, but I wasn't going out. I wasn't going out socialising. I wasn't going out seeing people. I wasn't going out for coffee. I was going nowhere.
Not going to see the kids in school, or
no, I
able
wouldn't
to drop
collect
them off.
I wouldn't drop them. Nothing. No, nothing.
And just about a bit, I mean, people will deal with these things in all sorts of different ways. Did you feel more secure in that, here's our little unit? Yeah,
that's the way I did. That was the nucleus for me, and if I could focus on the 4 of us and I just focused on the house, that was fine.
Okay, so there was a kind of a security or comfort in that?
For me, there was, yes. Yeah.
And obviously people around you, your friends and people that you've been associated with would all have been rushing to help.
Yeah.
I would imagine that must have caused some tension.
Yes, it did, yeah. And that was just what worked for me, and it took a long time for people to get their heads around the fact that she just wants to be alone, and they could help in the background. But it took a long time to repair bridges after that as well, when you come out the other side and you go back to work, and then everybody's, oh, she's okay now again, she's out talking, she's fine.
And how do you explain that to people?
Well, my only explanation was, look, I was the one that went through it. I went through the cancer diagnosis. I had to go through that. That's the way I went through it. I went back to work, and then I was back in work maybe a year or 2 when I felt that kind of niggling feeling coming back again, the worry of it all. So that's when I got in contact with the Marie Keating Foundation, and they were doing a Survive and Thrive programme where I met a whole group of people who, like myself, had been through it, were out the other side, and then were trying to readjust to life, where you're dealing with that worry and that
the worry that it would return.
The worry that it would return, and trying to manage people's expectations of you that you're fine, that you're back to normal, that you're the person you were before, where you're not, and you'll never will be, in my opinion, mentally mentally it's also it's overbearing. So that's how I got involved with the Marie Keating Foundation and managed on that Survive and Thrive. And we've developed a great group of friends in there, and I've done, there's a group of us there who did the photography, the exhibition, the Out the Other Side exhibition, where there was we had photos taken of us all, 10 of us who'd been through it all,
Who'd come out the other side.
and won a health award for that as well. So you know, there was positive things, a lot of positive things come out of the Marie Keating Foundation for me.
Just before we started, we asked you about survivor guilt, and you said. Obviously, there would have been people that you met because you would have been getting treatment with, I don't know how many women you knew or people who were going through it, but you said actually not so much when you were going through it, but now subsequently. Now subsequently,
since I've been out of it for a while, even in that period of time, you meet people who become sick and don't make it out the other side, and you're thinking, why them, why not me? And that really upsets me now more so. It's like, in one way, I'm a lucky person. Some people might think I'm not lucky because I got cancer, but I think I am lucky because I'm here on the other side to tell the tale.
Can I bring Helen in here? Helen, you're Director of Nursing, and you're probably one of the best qualified oncology nurses in the country. I mean, your CV, we'd be here for the rest of the morning reading it out.
I know, we won't go there.
You know, you're dealing with the clinical, you're dealing with the actual, the medical aspect of cancer. And look, there are no guarantees with this. Even if you catch it early, you know, it doesn't always necessarily work out. But now there's this whole other layer of the psychology of cancer and what people have to go through. And we met Professor Paul Dalton on the programme, and he talked about, and they're only actually beginning to explore the strength of the links between your psychological well-being and how it affects the outcome of your cancer.
Yeah, and like with the Marie Keating Foundation, Deirdre and I would have a special relationship, in fact, because the first Survive and Thrive programme that I ran in Dublin was with Deirdre's group in 2015. So we recognise from a very early stage and for many years that, you know, the whole psychological impact and the social impact of cancer has a huge impact on how people live. Cancer is a life-changing event no matter what we think. It changes your mindset, it changes the way you think and feel about life.
So that you no longer feel invincible anymore? Is that what people...
You no longer feel invincible. You've had a reality check, and that's, you know, that in itself makes people sit up and think, I need to manage myself, I need to look after myself, I need to empower myself in the way I look after myself and my family going forward. And that's what the Survive and Thrive programme is all about. And we've set up many of them over the country for men and women. So we've set up separate ones for women, for men alone, and for men and women together. In different parts of the country.
And what happens in that programme?
It's a 6-week programme, and we do ask for, you know, commitment, almost complete commitment as much as possible, because people are coming together and they're forming relationships, they're forming bonds, and there's camaraderie and a huge amount of transformation within that 6-week period. So we're looking at the psychological impacts of cancer, and we will always have a local specialist, a psychologist in the area that, you know, can actually talk to people. And I also, I suppose, when we're setting up the groups, look at what people really need to know and need to learn from the group. So they're very adaptable. So psychologists come along probably on the 2nd week when people are getting to know each other a little bit better. We bring specialists in to talk about long-term effects from treatment, so short and long-term effects. So, you know,
they could be physical,
absolutely,
mental, emotional.
Side effects that are lingering, and you know, some people in the group will manage them very well and some people may not, and they learn from each other actually. You know, when you're in a group and you're watching what's happening, you see transformation, and I've seen a huge transformation in Deirdre and, you know, some of the ladies in her group. So, and things like physical activity, you know, there's a lot of information out there, but we need evidence-based research. We work a lot with DCU, and Noel McCaffrey and Mairead Cooney, and they've done huge amounts of research into, you know, reducing your risks of developing even further, you know, recurrence of disease by exercising.
I want to be positive about this, but I don't know whether you can answer this question. Have you seen people beat the cancer but not necessarily survive the psychological impact?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I suppose in my role as a clinical nurse specialist, you saw a whole range of emotions and fear. Some people are very open to support, and other people need a lot of encouragement, and some people don't quite get there, and that's unfortunate, you know. Where some people have their own networks of support and they like to stay in that space, whereas other people do open up. But the most powerful support that people get is through people who are going through the same thing as them.
And I suppose that's what the Survive and Thrive programme is all about, is letting people like Deirdre know that it is okay to feel like this, that you don't have to have gone through this treatment and survive and suddenly be like, let's sing from the rooftops, isn't everything wonderful again, when that's not actually how you were feeling.
No, it wasn't. There was that period of euphoria when you're finished, but once everything settled back into normal routine again, then it started to creep back again, that maybe, you know, everything is too perfect now again, and you're very unsteady, and that seeps back into your mentality, and that's why I sought them out.
When you now go and talk to people,
yeah, well, we do through the Marie Keating Foundation. I help them out with Bloom at the stand there, where it's amazing when people come up to you at the Marie Keating Foundation at the stand, and what people will say to you and relate to you there, and with the Survive and Thrive. Yes, so it's.
And when you meet somebody who's just got a diagnosis, about to go into it, what do you say to them?
The first thing I say is, obviously, well, I've been there, and then that opens the floodgates more often than not, and they will tell you their most intimate personal history, health history, right there and then. And I think they get to feel, look, well, she's been through it, she's here, she's okay. And that is the message I'm trying to get across, because when I was diagnosed, all I wanted was to see people who'd been through it and know that, look, you can come out the other side and you can live your life again and things can get better. Because at the time, I certainly did not think things would ever be good again.
It mightn't be the exact same life, but it's still a very good life.
It's still a very good life, yes.
But of course, Helen, these things cost money.
Of course they do, yeah. So our six-week programmes are generally supported by educational grants from companies very much associated with, you know, the survivorship and maybe the type of disease we're dealing with. So we would have run certain groups for men with prostate cancer, very powerful as well, getting a group of like 10 or 15 men into a room to talk about quite intimate, you know, associations and I suppose longer term effects that affect the impact and the quality of their life. So yeah, I mean, it's a wonderful, you know, and very proud place to be. I think we're very honoured at the Marie Keating Foundation and to be able to offer this service to the people of Ireland.
Well, all the funds that we're raising this week, and hopefully we get 20, and possibly, you know, maybe we'll get lucky and we'll get even more than that, is going to go to the Comfort Fund. And one of the most important aspects of your psychological improvement and it having a good outcome is that you don't have to worry about anything else other than dealing with the cancer. Not the bills, not putting food on the table, etc. And that this is what this fund is there to help people with. So listen, thank you both very much indeed for coming in.
You're very welcome.
Continue your work.
Thank you.
And to you at home, oh God, we've run out of words of thanks for you. You've been so generous so far, but every donation helps. And if you feel like you'd like to give €4, well then text Marie to 50300. The target is 20,000. We've already raised 15,000, just over it, so far this week. So if you can throw us a few bob or give us a bit of help, we will very gratefully accept it.
Absolutely, and as you have seen all week, it's going to such a good cause.